Hey planner friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new around here, my name's Kate. I'm your host of Functional Planning. Normally I'd let you see my face, but today I am looking like a bridge troll, so we're just going to go with a flat lay, and we're going to get into setting up a 2025 half-letter disc system for work planning. I'm going to walk you through the sections that I set up before I populate this baby with sensitive info for 2025. So I've got my work planner here for reference. I've got all sorts of goodies here that we're going to assemble. So without further ado, let's go. This is a half-letter disc folio cover from Cloth and Paper. This is in the color Valley, and it's a really pretty green color. I've been saving it for 2025. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know I love green. Green is my favorite color, so that's what we're going to be using for 2025. So when you get these, they come with a very special insert that's designed to fit in the back. This is brand new, so you're gonna actually get to see all the things. So it comes with an item number and a care card on how to take care of the leather. Again, this is cactus leather. I use this in a different color for work right now. Right now I have the clay color, which is also very pretty and I love, but I'm not quite done with this yet, and I wanted to set this up for you guys because I get a lot of questions. I think I'm going to use this cover, and then we're going to use these really fun discs. So these have, let me see if I can get it to focus, some light green in them, a little bit of white, a little bit of black, and they're just really fun. I did get some questions on how this color compares to the cypress color that I use in my personal rings. So here's a side-by-side for you guys. So the cypress is a little darker, but they're both kind of this collegiate green color. All right, I love to start out a half-letter disc system by putting the discs in and assembling both the front and back cover. It gives structure to the planner before you do anything else. So half-letter disc is 8 discs. This is what that's going to look like. And then this will just slide in the back once we're done with the front part. I find that putting on the clear covers is honestly one of the most difficult parts. Once this is on, you're pretty good to go. So let's do that real quick. When you're going through this, so you're going to put in one side and then just kind of turn it, and then it'll keep it from cracking. I have broken one of these before, just getting a little aggressive with putting it together. All right, so we've got the front and the back cover. You guys will notice that this guy is significantly smaller, and that's because it is supposed to slide in this back pocket. So let's put in some dividers. All right, so I'm gonna line this up. And like I said, I just like doing this first just to give myself some structure. So I like the low profile dividers that they sell for this. It helps keep the pen loop in check, but I don't like the finance section. I don't track finances on paper. Some people are into that. I really like to use an electronic tool for that. I just think it works better. Use the right tool for the job. That's my motto. Starting to come together. So you'll see we have schedule, notes and lists, and then 2 extra tabs back here. And then I have the overview up there. So in the schedule section, I am going to add in a this month tab as well as a this week. Now that I have my dividers in, I'm gonna actually slide this in the folio. So when you put these in, if you just put the edge in, if you want to grab it and then just push in the middle, that'll make it go in more evenly. All right, so she's starting to come together. So let's go ahead and start putting in some inserts. So I have these. I'm going to put January through June in here. So these are a academic year. That's what I use for work planning. Pro tip, if you line them up with the discs and then just push down with 2 fingers, they won't wrinkle nearly as bad. And if you try and put too many pages in at once, it's going to wrinkle. Love the way that looks. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is put the weeks in. Again, this is January through June. And let me kind of show you what these look like. So these are the academic. It's a Monday through Friday, and then it's got a combined Saturday, Sunday on the end with some notes. And there's 3 kind of bucket lists. So you have priorities to do, and then this blank spot. and I'll walk you through how I use these. The only thing I don't like about these inserts is that the check box is on the right hand side. I am a check off on the left kind of girl, so I just write over it and then end up checking off on the left. So if that's something that bothers you with the checkbox being on the right hand side, be warned, the academic inserts look like this. Also, this comes in a A5 spiral as well. So if you don't feel like going through and doing discs, doing a disc setup, you can get it in an A5 spiral. So let me pop these in here. All right, so we have our months in, and I just put them chronologically. So we've got January, and then straight into February, etc. And then I keep all my weeks together as well. Okay, so we've got months, we've got weeks, we have a rogue pen holder. Because I know somebody's going to ask, these are a 1.25 inch disc size. I don't keep an entire year in my work planner. I just don't think it fits well in the folio. So 1.2, oh, you can kind of see the translucent. Okay, sorry, ADHD. And I've completely lost my train of thought, so we're gonna keep moving. 1.25 inch, that's what they are. So I'm gonna go back here to the front, and we're gonna add some more things. Okay, I have no idea how this is gonna look, so we're in this together. I really love this dashboard. Don't let imperfections get in the way of progress. It very much is my vibe, and we're gonna put 2025 over that and just see how that looks. Okay, I'm obsessed. Yes, please and thank you. Okay, so what do I keep here? So I like to keep a yearly overview, just a year at a glance. So this is 2024 and 2025. I actually don't write anything on it. I'm perfectly fine with that. I just like having it here for reference. In terms of dashboards for work, I tend to keep things very minimal. I like to use vellum versus the cardstock dashboards because it doesn't bulk up the planner as much. So I'm just going to go through and add these overlays. So all the overlays are in here, so it gives you this nice little aesthetic as you turn the month. And I'll just move my this month tab over as the months progress. I do like putting something in between my weeks and my months because these top tabs are going to move as the weeks progress. So I do like putting a thicker cardstock in between the month and the week so I can very quickly tell paper difference wise where that separation is. So that's going to be a little hidden gem for later. All right, let's get into notes sections. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a dashboard because these notes, I don't want anybody looking at them. So if I have my planner open on my desk, I like to just have something very clean. I do keep this open on my desk at work as I'm working through things. So I think there was a question about that. Hopefully that answers that. All right, so first up in the notes section is meeting notes. So I use these to capture very specific things that aren't tied to a project. Maybe if I'm doing a laboratory investigation and I'm interviewing somebody, that might be included in here. Any kind of meeting that I would need to really capture the details, I can write my notes faster than I can process them, like type them on a computer. And so anyway, this is just my go-to. If I'm in a meeting, I need to jot down some notes. These are right here. They're right behind my note tab. I can get to it very quickly. All right, the next inserts I use are project management inserts. And these are, see if I can open this up, double-sided inserts. There's a timeline on one side with lines on either side of the timeline. And then there's a place for just some ideation and then an action item list. I do like these because there's a lot of time-specific projects that I'm going through, and I'll sit in a meeting and we'll need to kind of flesh out a timeline and we'll have a rough draft. So this allows me to just kind of give a rough draft when we're in the meeting, think through it, and then I'll actually move this into an electronic system and share it with the team after the meeting. So this is just a brainstorming insert that I love to use. All right, now there's not a divider between these two because I like to go back and forth, but I do like to just put a little page flag here so that I can see. So when I'm in that section, if I open it up, I can put my fingernail right there and flip right to it. So I do use these page flags quite a bit to not have bulk from actual dividers. All right, so in the very back of the planner, I like to keep a folder. Multiple reasons for this. I love to have a pocket on the go to put things, but also I like that it kind of raises things up and gives me a firm writing surface besides the back of the folio. So if I have this open and I'm writing on the very last page, it's still relatively smooth. It wouldn't be me if I didn't have graph paper. I am a graph girl at heart. I use tons of graph paper. The next thing that I use a lot of is this column page. I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. I also keep a lot of lined pages here in the back as well. So these are pages I can just pull at random, depending on what I need, and I'll put some page flags here in a minute so that I can quick grab those. All right, so this is where the magic happens and what a lot of you guys were asking about, and that is end of year evaluations. So I use this insert for my one-on-ones with my manager, my senior manager, and on up the food chain. So how I do that is I'll actually write the date and who it's with. I typically just use their initials, and then I'll write notes from our one-on-one here. I typically don't need more than one of these, but if I do, I have, pages, I'll just write like continued or something. But what I like to do is I'll write my one-on-one notes here on the right-hand side, and if there's an action item, I'll actually go through with a dot marker and, write like schedule this, or assign project lead on this, or whatever it is, whatever that action item is that they're asking me to do. And then I have the context right here. So this comes from my Cornell note taking past from lots of school, to just have a place to call out items that are in my notes. And these have worked really, really well for me this year. I don't think I'll ever do anything else. But if in the event that I needed a longer page, I do have the column notes here that would serve the same purpose, and I just put the date up there. So if you need more space for a one-on-one notes, this might be a really good option. But if you just have quick, my manager's big on quick, efficient meetings, so I put that there. So that's what this first tab in my planner down here is. These are my personal one-on-one notes. And I keep them here so that I can bring this to my one-on-one with my manager, and I don't have to dig back through an archive. It's always there. But as I mentioned, it's private. So I do like to put a little bit of just kind of something over it so no one's really peeping in my planner. That brings me to the second thing that I was showing you guys. I know it was blurred out, but these are executive notes. Once again, graph, shocking. But this is what I use for project meetings that are not necessarily timeline specific. So like a project team that we're working to do a continuous improvement project or something like that. I'll just put the notes up here, and then, I'll put the subject up here, and then when we met, because these things we may only meet like 3 times a year, and then work independently. So I'll just capture our meeting notes here. Then if we have follow on, I'll keep it down here, or next action items or whatever. So I have these at a glance. And then at the very bottom of these, I'll actually write like the impact of that project and the continuous improvement that we did. So this is what I'll use at the end of the year. I'll just take all of these, for lack of a better term, so what, or impact assessments from the meeting, from the project teams, and then that's what I use to write my review. And I keep these in the same section as my one-on-one notes, just kind of at the back. Actually, I think I kept it at the front last year. I did keep it at the front. Stand by. Put it there. And then I have this guy to cover my stuff. I really want a solid divider there. We'll use this here because these aren't necessarily private. So I'm just looking through this, and I was worried about the disk space because, like I said, I want to keep the disk space low, but I want to give me a little separation here, add that little noted flag. This might make some of you cringe. I apologize in advance, but that's going to drive me nuts. It's not broken in yet. So graph pages, put this here, duo notes here. Some of these dashboards are not available anymore, so sorry about that. All right, so we have notes, meeting notes, then we have project management notes, and we have the main project notes. This is where the one-on-one information is. So I am going to mark this as green because it's for me. Kind of want it hidden beneath my divider tab. That way when I go to this section and I pull it up, I can just instantly flip there. I'm big on, I need to be able to flip to the page. So that gives me my one-on-one notes. And then this section does not have a, this will work. This is a planner spot freebie. And then I'm going to go back through to these and do the same thing. So I'll use a different color, just put it just in here and then line these up. So if you are short on space, these page flags can really save you. But that way they still look clean. I need to reprint this because my vellum apparently got wet. They're protected behind this so they're not going to get all funky. One other thing that I do like to do is I like to include this sheet. This is just a, sometimes you need a random sticky note with not a lot of structure. Yes, I could add more pages, but I really like these. These are they're only sticky at the top. This is actually what I use my grocery list for. I grabbed these at Target. Let's see how we're doing on disk space. You see how it's starting to lift. And I know some of these pages are gonna fluff up a little bit, so I may need to take out some of these dashboards. So let's chat about goal setting. So every year we have to establish our goals at the beginning of the year, and this is the insert that I like to use for that. So we have several buckets of things that we are defining as goals. So I'll use this for buckets, and it's double-sided, so if I have more buckets I can do that. But that way, like if I want to capture like testing turnaround time or data review turnaround time or you know, whatever metrics we're trying to reach for the year, I'll put them here. And then I'll put one of these in every month. So I go back and do a monthly check-in on my metrics to see if I'm meeting the overall goal for the year. But I'll put the overall goal for the year at the front, right behind my yearly overview. So that way I know I have clear goals defined there. And then behind each month, I'll add in one of these. You might want to do this quarterly. That's cool. But it kind of shows progress throughout the year, which is what I like to see. All right, so let's talk about this weekly section. So I'm actually going to move this. So this would be the first week of the year. So one thing that bothered me about this particular insert was that there wasn't a sidebar. So this is my solution to that. I keep a running task list in my week so that I don't have to keep writing things from week to week. So this is for long range projects that span multiple weeks, multiple months, that kind of thing. And when I get through the page, I'll just take it out and put another one in or archive that. And I like to keep this big guy here, just keep it where it belongs. Other things that I keep on my weekly dashboard. I keep a post-it note, and I usually put some kind of a sticker or something there to just make sure it stays. I need a sticky note at will all the time. On the other side of this, I keep project sticky notes. So these are for things that, again, are multi-week things. So I will keep these here, and that gives me kind of visualization on where my long-range projects are. So sticky note sidebar. I am not a fan of carrying multiple sticky notes around with me. I took a piece of just clear transparency, and I'll peel off some sticky notes and add them to these, and then keep them in my front pocket and just kind of refill them as I need to. One thing I will say, when these are new, they are a bear to put your finger in there. but it does ease up over time. And then this is incredibly dirty. I need to see if I have another one. I like to keep this journaling card with me, just because it's just a really good reminder of a priority matrix. So I love having that with me. All right, so I can't do it right now, but I'm going to create one of these, and all this is an old journaling card that Cloth and Paper had, and I just used some acetone to remove the ink. So that's something that you can do if you just want some clear cards. Maybe I'll do a reel on it, on how to actually remove that, and so it'll look like that. Just look really nice and clean. These guys have a permanent home in the front of my folio where they live. I live and die by them. And then I may add some different deco in here. I just haven't gotten there yet. This is kind of the general setup. So let's just do a quick flip through, and then I'm gonna talk you through how I actually do the months and weeks. So we have the overview section. This is just gonna be what I said, an overview. And we've got the overview goals for the year, the monthly sections. So a little bit about the monthly section. I don't capture every meeting I have here. I am an Outlook queen when it comes to my work schedule. What I use this for is things that I need to prep. So this is like a prep calendar. So if I have a recurring meeting every Thursday I have to prep for. I have leadership team meetings on Mondays that I have to prep for. So this gives me an overview of what I'm presenting and when I need to have presentations ready by, so that I can back plan. If it's just a quick, I don't have to really do much, but it's like a check-in, it may not be here. But if I have to present to my leadership team or my senior leadership team, that's going to be here. I'll also put campus events for work on here. So like if we have a holiday party or if we have a team building or something like that, that'll go in here. The other thing that I use it for is to capture my work from home days versus my on-site days. I'll just put a little highlighter mark, say that I'm working from home, and that way I can add up the number of work from home days, compare it to the number of working days, and make sure I'm meeting my on-site percentage as outlined by my company. The sidebar here doesn't get used for anything other than that quick little math calculation for number of actual working days versus how many work from home days I'm allowed, so that I can sit here with this calendar and my personal calendar and make sure that all the things work. Would it be easier to do in a digital system? Maybe, but I'm having to go back and forth between two digital calendars anyway, and I prefer paper. So here we are. And then again, the monthly check-in. Once we get through all the months, takes us into the week. Overall running task list, sticky note for my good idea fairy moments, and then we actually have the weeks here. So let's talk about these and how I set these up. I mentioned that I keep my work from home days in my monthly overview. I also keep them in my weekly. So what I'll do is use a highlighter and make a little highlight markup here. It wouldn't be this long, obviously, but just put that I work from home that day. In this priorities section, we're turning. These are going to be the non-negotiables for the day. Oh, I need a new pen. Cool. Love that for me. In the next section down, these are my recurring tasks. So I like to bucket what I do. So I do typically the same thing every Tuesday and Thursday, so that I'm checking in on the different things that I need to do. So these are just recurring tasks. If I don't get to it, it won't be the end of the world, but it's something that needs to get done. So I kind of break that out into priorities as indicated by the header and my to-do list. This bottom section here is for assigning time. So what I mean by that, every day when I work on different projects and I touch different projects, I'll just write a list of the time codes that I use that day and an approximate time range. So if I worked on this project for an hour or this project for 15 minutes, I'll just make a list here. That way when I do my time card at the end of the day or at the end of the week, I have it all written down and I don't have to stop what I'm doing every 5 minutes to write it down. These notes down here are just that, notes. So I'm not going to relabel that. That would be redundant. Over here on the Saturday and Sunday section, I actually line through the Saturday and Sunday with whiteout. This is going to be a terrible color combo. I use this for a weekly reset checklist. So this top section is going to be, again, priorities for the weekly reset checklist, and then other action items that I need to do for the weekly reset checklist that if I don't get to, again, no one's going to die, but it's something that I'm just visually reminding myself of. And then this next section is next week. So I'll put a highlighter here, write next week over it. And then this gives me visibility into things coming up next week that I might need to pay attention to, i.e. I have a presentation on Monday morning at 9 a.m. I'll put that there so I can make sure that either Thursday or Friday I go over my slides and I'm prepared for that meeting so I don't embarrass myself. So this is how my week flows every single week. We have all at the top, the non-negotiables every day, the recurring tasks every day, the time codes every day, the priority weekly reset checklist items, the to-do weekly reset checklist items that future Kate will thank me for doing, and then the next week on with the notes at the bottom, any kind of project tracking here for big projects, the recurring task list here, good idea fairy moment. Hopefully that makes sense. This will just continue on throughout my weeks as I go. I'll just keep moving this guy along. Notice it's all like tucked together. So I'll end up just pulling this page out, turning it, putting this in, and I'm ready to go. On to the notes section. Meeting notes, 4 meetings that I need to know the date, the time, who was there, what was discussed, that kind of thing. Primarily for laboratory investigations, or if I have something that's just very, very specific. These aren't things that I use for project planning. Then I'll go into my project planning notes, ideation, action items, assignment. So like I'll put an action item here and then who it's assigned to in this column. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's actually a checkbox on the left. And that's where I'll put that in there. So if I assign somebody something and it's delegated, that'll go here so I can kind of revisit. And then any associated timeline. Moving on here. So these are for big team things. I'll put the name of the team here, the date that we kick off the team meeting here, what we talk about, action items, impact for my evaluation at the end of the year. And for my presentation, let's just talk about that for a second. If you're going through and making the time to do a continuous improvement project and you don't assess the impact of what you did, then you probably should. But it's beneficial all the way around. So come evaluation time, I know what I did, and come time to actually justify the time spent on the continuous improvement project. This will allow, my manager to really see, what I'm doing and allow me to get additional funding or additional resources to continue a project, that kind of thing. So always assess the impact of the things that you're doing. Moving on to this section, one-on-one notes. Again, the notes from the one-on-one and then action items over here. So it may be schedule a meeting. So I'll just put schedule this and make myself a little place to book a check mark, or set up this team, or whatever good idea fairy moment my boss has. This is just all in one place so that we can go through those. And it allows me to keep myself on track and know exactly where we were at the last one-on-one and the things they wanted me to work on or that kind of thing. Then the last section here is the notes section, blank pages for notes, the column duo list. If I need a longer one, I've got graph pages back here. If I need to brainstorm or something doesn't fit one of the other inserts, or it's my safety net insert, if you will. And then we have pocket and the random brain dump list, get it out of my head thing that I like to have. So those are the sections and how I set them up. All right, so let's add some of the finishing touches. These are the 2 things I always have in my work planner. So the Pilot G6 0.5, this is just a rubbery pen that I love. I actually journal with it too. I'm just huge fan. It's comfortable. I write a lot during the day, so if I can write 10.5 journaling pages using this without skipping a beat, then it definitely has proven its worth. The other thing that I keep is a mild liner. This is in cool gray. So if you're not familiar with mild liner, it's got a dot on one end, or a fine liner, and then it's got the chisel tip on the other side. This is the primary color that I use in my planner. For work, I keep things pretty neutral, and I like keeping it neutral. I like keeping it professional. So let's slide these babies in here. So you'll see when I go to slide this in, it's going to catch right on that divider. So I just let it sit where it is. It's kind of the perfect height. So this is where the divider starts. And then this won't go over the top. I'll actually scoot it over and clip this on the outside. It's kind of hard to do from that angle. So that I have both my mild liner and my pen at the ready. And I think that is all for her. She's thick, she's got style, she's got sass. That is a half year, not quite half year, it's June. Typically I'll keep 1 quarter in here at a time and do a quarterly refresh. It gives me the opportunity to just reconnect with my planner, make sure my planner system's working. For the sake of this video, I went ahead and put everything in there that I had. All right, so I asked you guys online right before I started recording this, what your questions were about half letter disc setups for work and work setups in general. So I wanna make sure that I answer those before I I jump off of here. Lots of you guys said that you were just excited to see the setup and you love the green tones. I love it too. Thank you for your interaction. I really appreciate it. A lot of you guys really loved the noted luxe page flags and just a lot of the planner supplies in general. If you want to know specifically where something came from, just ask. I'm happy to answer that question. A lot of questions around how to incorporate page flags and colors and stickers and that kind of thing and what I do. You guys know I'm pretty minimal when it comes to planning. So on the monthly overviews, I may include a page flag or a sticker or something, you know, just to kind of block off a day from time to time. But honestly, most of the time I use a highlighter. My highlighter is my buddy. I'm very busy at work, as I'm sure all of you are. I don't do a lot of stickers. I don't do a lot of deco in here beyond just adding a page flag here and there, adding a post-it note. Sometimes if I'm feeling particularly sassy, I'll have a little layering moment. Here, I'll give you a sassy layering moment. Boom. There you go. But I generally just keep this very clean and functional, and that way I can at a glance see what's going on. So I know you guys have a lot of questions about overhang, so let's chat about that. This is what the side of it looks like. So there's no divider overhang because, again, these are I'm using the low profile. The one thing, this guy can overhang. If you find the sweet spot with it, it will close with that over it and you won't be able to see anything. People ask me, why do you want this? I want it because I don't want whatever's here to mess up this front page because I do use a lot of vellum. So this just kind of protects it. As far as the top overhang, you will see that there is a little bit of overhang with this overview tab. It might bother you. It does not bother me. Another question that I got was surrounding what type of sections do you use? I think I've answered that ad nauseum. If you haven't got your answer by now, feel free to reach out to me and I can answer specific questions or post them in the comments below. The other question that you asked was, how do I archive? And that's a wonderful question. I don't see enough people talking about archiving. Like I said, I set this up typically 1 quarter at a time. And then I have another half letter disc set up that's not cute. It's just the pages and it's between 2 of these clear things. And I keep that at home so that I can just pull out those specific things for the month and for the weeks and have them to reference for later in the year. Now the notes pages and the projects and all that stays in year round, but I will pull out the weeks once I finish a month as part of my monthly closeout checklist. You guys have seen me talk about closeout checklists. I do have closeout checklists for work for each week, each month, each quarter, and each year. So it's something that works really, really well for me, for my brain. So just as part of that, I'll just take out the pages and put them in that other notebook. Then I'll have one big fat notebook that just has my months and my weeks in it. So if I need to reference it, I can, but I have all the notes pages back here in the back to reference for my review. The next question was surrounding discs. These are metal discs and I did use those for 2024. I really do like them and some people prefer them because they are smoother and the pages don't catch. These are 1.25 inch discs and I believe these are plastic. I just change them out when I want to. These made me happy and they were green. So I got these specifically because they match this green folio. Typically the cloth and paper plastic discs are better than most of the ones out there on the market. So I'm gonna give this a go. If I end up hating it, I'll just switch it out for the metal discs. Prevention of wear and tear on the folio. So this is my current folio that I have been in for at least 6 months. You can see I have not changed out my planner card. I'm not going to flip through the pages, but the folio is in great shape. I haven't done anything to it, honestly. I just throw it in my bag, just as is. So some people may gasp. But you can use like a puffer pouch or something to slide it in. If you don't feel comfortable just throwing it in your work tote. But this lives in my work tote. And then when I get to work, I just lay it out on my desk. How do I keep it aesthetically pleasing and functional? It's, like I said, it's mainly functional. I do have pieces that are strategically placed throughout, as you saw in the setup video. I will have page flags and things that are set up, but mainly this is functional. I don't care that it's pretty. I care that it works for me. This thing's a workhorse. The other questions that I saw were mainly around how do you organize your planner? How do you set up the different sections? What inserts do you use for what things? And I'll just leave it with this. If you search for the perfect insert for work, you may never find it. So it's all about getting creative and repurposing things for your own needs. Some of these things are very obvious, where the monthly spreads and the weekly spreads, they seem pretty obvious. Meeting notes seem pretty obvious. But if you are in doubt about how to use an insert. You just need to kind of play with it, honestly. This has been a trial and error thing for me. When they launched these, I had no idea if this would work. I just thought, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if when I was going, like I could write out my meeting notes, but I didn't have to search through them for action items. So that's why I started using this. When I, use my other inserts, like, sometimes it's just a graph page because sometimes I just need to get it out of my head. So don't stress yourself out too much about finding the perfect insert, so to speak, but think about what you already have and different ways that you can use them to kind of capture different things. Let me give you a prime example. I use these in multiple places in my life. For work, I will use it for laboratory investigations because it's a meeting. I need to capture notes. I need to follow up on specific action items. I need to know who was there. I need a general agenda of questions to ask. But the other thing I use this for are occupational therapy appointments, doctor's appointments for my kids, that kind of thing. So you can use these inserts in different ways. You just have to really figure out what's the important information that you need to capture from that. And if it's something where you can just take these notes online, that's up to you. This is just something that works for me in conjunction with my digital planning at work. So when it comes to like task management and pre-planning and taking notes, that's what I use this for. But when it comes to scheduling meetings or notifying teams of big things and coming up with, major project plans and that kind of thing, I do use a electronic system for that. I just may ideate it out on paper first before sharing with the team. So it's all in what what works for you. Some people's brains they don't remember things if they just type it on a computer, but they'll remember it if they brainstorm and map it out here. That's the other insert that I typically use is mind mapping inserts, but I am out of them. So I'll just add more in here and when I get them in the mail and add another tabby. I know this was a long video, but I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me today. If today's video was helpful for you, don't forget to comment below and let me know that. If you drew inspiration from today's video or going to try any of this in 2025, let me know that too. Don't forget I want to be planner friends. Go ahead, follow me on other social media platforms, subscribe to the channel so we can continue the planner conversation beyond just today. Until next time, have a great day, guys.